Tuesday, 10:30 a.m., the quarterly alignment meeting. You are mid-sentence, presenting a slide deck. You sacrificed your entire weekend to finalize. Suddenly, a senior manager cuts you off. That's a cute perspective, they say, barely looking up from their phone. But let's focus on the actual KPIs, not these junior-level assumptions. The boardroom goes silent. You feel that familiar spike of cortisol. Your chest tightens. The immediate instinct is to justify your data, to frantically defend your competence, or worse, to shrink into your ergonomic chair and let their passive-aggressive disrespect become your new baseline. This is not constructive feedback. It is a calculated power play, designed to diminish your corporate leverage. Every smirk, every condescending remark disguised as mentorship, every microaggression in front of the stakeholders, it is a direct assault on your professional agency. You are facing a critical choice. Let their insult dictate your emotional reality, or weaponize their arrogance against them. You cannot fix a toxic corporate culture. You cannot optimize an insecure manager's ego. In any complex project, you must learn to separate fixed constraints from adjustable variables. The ancient Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. Here, we call it protecting your emotional ROI. The insult thrown at you in that boardroom is an external variable. It is a raw data point reflecting their lack of leadership capability, not a valid metric of your professional competence. Yet the exact moment you react with visible anger or frantic justification, you willingly hand over administrative access to your mind. You give them the exact leverage they were fishing for. In this briefing, we are not seeking spiritual enlightenment. We are deploying Stoicism as a strict mental algorithm to hack workplace power dynamics. We will dissect how to categorize office threats, isolate the few variables you actually control, your tone, your strategic silence, your continued execution, and systematically ignore the rest. You will learn to process an insult, not as a personal attack, but as a misdirected email you simply archive. Save this video. Treat it as your standard operating procedure for the next hostile team sync. Let's break down the defense protocol. The boardroom insult we just dissected was merely a stress test. In the modern corporate ecosystem, disrespect is rarely a screaming match. It is subtle. It is codified in email threads, weaponized into performance reviews, and disguised as constructive alignment. To survive this, we must apply the dichotomy of control as our primary filtering mechanism. Your bandwidth, your technical output, your documented paper trail, and your emotional regulation. These are your internal variables. Your manager's fragile ego, your colleagues' passive-aggressive tendencies, the client's irrational demands. These are external variables. An insult only possesses power if you voluntarily import it into your internal system. We are going to map out the 5 most common variations of corporate disrespect. For each, we will apply a specific Stoic protocol to neutralize the threat, protect your psychological ROI, and turn their attempted leverage into your tactical advantage. Here is your defense matrix. The just joking Saboteur. You are in a cross-functional alignment meeting. 50 participants on the Zoom call. You present a data-backed strategy. A peer, usually someone threatened by your trajectory, unmutes and says, well, in the real world, outside of your spreadsheets, things actually work a bit differently, but nice try. They mask a direct insult to your competency as a casual veteran observation. They expect you to laugh awkwardly or get flustered. Marcus Aurelius wrote, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. The strategic void. Do not smile. Do not let out a nervous laugh to ease the tension. Do not immediately defend your spreadsheet. Let the silence hang for exactly 3 seconds. Let the awkwardness become heavy. Then, look directly at them and use a perfectly flat clinical tone. Say, I am not sure I understand the joke. Can you specify which data point in this forecast is disconnected from the market reality? This maneuver works because passive aggression relies on the victim's complicity. The saboteur needs your nervous laughter to validate their disrespect and relieve the tension they created in the room. By offering absolute silence, you create a psychological vacuum. By forcing them to explain the joke using quantitative metrics, You drag them out of the emotional shadows and into the harsh light of logical accountability. You strip the insult of its emotional casing. They will inevitably fumble, backtrack, or offer a weak technical excuse. You do not look defensive. You look like an apex professional demanding precision. They look like a liability. The midnight escalation. You wake up, open your laptop, and see an email sent at 11:45 p.m. A colleague has found a minor formatting error in your weekly report. Instead of slacking you directly to fix it, they have replied to the entire thread, CCing your direct manager and the department VP. The email reads, "Just wanted to flag this discrepancy. We need to ensure we are prioritizing attention to detail on these critical deliverables. It is not a correction. It is a calculated assassination of your brand reliability, engineered for maximum visibility." Epictetus stated, "It is not events that disturb people. It is their judgments concerning them." The sterile protocol. Your ego will scream at you to reply all, with a 5-paragraph essay defending your late hours, your workload, and pointing out their past mistakes. Do not draft your response, then ruthlessly delete every single adjective and emotion. Acknowledge the data, ignore the tone. Reply. Updated file attached. The discrepancy accounted for a 0.5% variance. Moving forward, I have automated this cell to prevent manual input errors. Crucially, move the VP to BCC to remove them from the active thread. Stating, moving the VP to BCC to save their inbox. The CC sniper feeds on your panic. They want to trigger a defensive meltdown in front of executive leadership to prove you lack composure. By executing the sterile protocol, you deny them their dopamine hit. You do not engage with their judgment. You only interact with the event, the typo. By moving the executive to BCC, you subtly assert authority over the communication flow, demonstrating respect for the executive's time while cutting off the sniper's audience. You emerge looking like a hyper-efficient problem solver who is immune to petty office politics. The sniper is left holding an empty gun. The parasitic manager. You spent 3 weeks researching and compiling the Q3 competitive analysis. In the quarterly review with the regional directors, your manager opens your deck. They present every slide using the word I. I noticed this trend. I developed this framework. They are actively erasing your existence from the project. This is the ultimate corporate insult, treating your intellectual labor as their personal, disposable resource. Epictetus observed, "Some things are in our control and others not. Wealth, property, and reputation are not. The granular ambush, do not interrupt them to claim ownership. That looks petty and insubordinate. Wait until the regional director asks a complex question about the methodology. A question your manager, who only skimmed the executive summary, cannot answer with depth. Step in smoothly. Say, to build on the high-level summary, when I was compiling the raw data for this specific metric last week, I applied a different filtering parameter. Proceed to answer the question with overwhelming, undeniable subject matter expertise. You cannot control your manager's lack of integrity. You can, however, control the undeniable reality of your competence. By stepping in to save them with granular data, you accomplish 2 things. First, you expose to the directors, without a single word of complaint, who actually built the engine. The contrast between your manager's surface-level buzzwords and your deep technical mastery will be deafening. Second, you make your manager dependent on you. You turn their theft into a showcase of your irreplaceability. You stop chasing the applause, the reputation, and focus entirely on being the undeniable architect of the work. The weaponized incompetence. You submit a design, a copy deck, or a code architecture. The stakeholder reviews it and replies, "It's just not popping yet. It lacks vision. Make it more dynamic. Let's do another round." This is a profound insult to your time and expertise. It is a lazy refusal to provide actionable parameters, trapping you in an endless cycle of revisions based on their fluctuating moods. They are using your bandwidth to figure out what they want. Seneca advised, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." The binary constraint. Do not get angry. Do not attempt to read their mind or work another weekend trying to guess what dynamic means. Delay the revision process by forcing a structural alignment. Reply with a highly structured framework. To ensure I optimize this next round of revisions and respect the project timeline, I need to translate dynamic into measurable variables. Vague feedback is a power trip. It allows the reviewer to act as an art critic rather than a manager, holding you hostage to their whims. By applying the binary constraint, you strip them of their ambiguity. You force them to make a concrete, documented decision. You protect your time by making them do the actual work of management. The Whisper Network. You establish a firm boundary. You refuse to take on an extra project that falls outside your KPIs, or you log off exactly at 6 p.m. A few days later, you hear through the grapevine that a senior colleague called you inflexible, difficult to work with, or not a team player. This is an indirect insult, designed to threaten your social standing and future mobility within the company, punishing you for not sacrificing your mental health. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others." The executioner's focus: do not confront the gossip. Do not seek out the senior colleague to clear the air or explain your workload. Do not launch a PR campaign to prove you are a nice person. Do absolutely nothing to address the rumor. Instead, double down on your core deliverables. Ensure your metrics are flawless. Ensure your communication in official channels is impeccably professional, cold, and efficient. The Whisper Network operates on the currency of insecurity. They want you to feel isolated, so you will fold and return to a state of compliant overwork. If you react, you validate the rumor that you are difficult or emotionally volatile. By treating their gossip as irrelevant static, you demonstrate untouchable confidence. Over time, the system bypass completes itself. The discrepancy between the rumor and the reality of your output destroys the assassin's credibility. You let your metrics speak so loudly that their whispers become entirely irrelevant. These 5 protocols are not about winning an argument. Winning is an ego-driven concept that has no place in a rational professional's toolkit. Office politics is not a game you win. It is an environment you navigate and neutralize. Every time a colleague attempts to insult you, undermine you, or exploit you, they are handing you a piece of data about their internal weaknesses. The public underminer is insecure about their intelligence. The CC sniper is desperate for executive validation. The credit hijacker lacks the skill to produce original work. The goalpost mover is terrified of making a definitive decision. When you apply the dichotomy of control, you stop reacting to their toxicity and start studying it. You become an anthropologist, observing flawed corporate behavior. An insult ceases to be a weapon used against you. It becomes a diagnostic tool you use to map the battlefield. You remain calm. You remain analytical. You protect your energy, document your reality, and execute your function. They will exhaust themselves trying to break a wall that does not even acknowledge their existence. We have neutralized the immediate threats, but there is one final layer of defense required to survive this ecosystem. You must build a psychological firewall. The modern corporate machine is meticulously engineered to blur the boundary between your human identity and your professional output. Hustle culture conditions you to believe that missing a Q4 revenue target is a measure of your personal failure. It tricks you into thinking that a needs improvement on an annual performance review is a permanent stain on your character. It is not. Let us apply the ultimate dichotomy of control. You control the precision of your deliverables. You control the hours you log. You control the professional integrity you bring to a project. You do not, however, control macroeconomic shifts. You do not control sudden headcount freezes, unannounced executive restructuring, or a board member's decision to pivot and render your entire department obsolete overnight. Why then are you attaching your psychological safety to an entity that categorizes you as a variable line item on a profit and loss statement? The system is fundamentally transactional. You trade your intellectual bandwidth for financial capital. That is the entirety of the contract. Nowhere in your onboarding documents does it state you must surrender your peace of mind. The insults, the micromanagement, the desperate boardroom power plays, they only penetrate your armor because you still buy into the manufactured illusion of the corporate family. Drop the illusion. Your desk is not your home. Your manager is not your parent. They are simply a colleague operating under a different set of KPIs. Your job title is not your identity. It is merely a temporary login credential. By aggressively disconnecting your ego from your corporate output, you become truly untouchable. You do the work, you deliver the value, and then you log off, both digitally and mentally. The moment you internalize that this career is strictly a role you play to fund your actual existence, the system loses its ultimate leverage. You stop seeking their validation, and you take back your life. Tomorrow morning, you will log back into the system. You will face the same irrational deadlines, the same manufactured emergencies, and the same inflated egos. That is the baseline environment of the corporate machine, an external variable you cannot control. What you can control is your algorithmic response. Choose one protocol from this briefing and deploy it during your next hostile team sync. Watch how quickly the power dynamics shift when you refuse to supply the emotional reaction they depend on. You are no longer participating in their drama, you are systematically managing it. If this briefing has provided a tactical advantage in protecting your bandwidth and neutralizing burnout, confirm your alignment by typing Stoic Professional in the comments below. This is your mental perimeter. Defend it ruthlessly. Keep your metrics high, keep your emotions offline, and protect your psychological ROI. We will reconvene at the next briefing. System logging out.